Hello and welcome to Accessibility Slides by Design. My name is Adam Larson. I work in the Professional Learning Department here at ESU3, and we are going to talk about Google Slides specifically and how to make accessible slides. So the three things we're going to cover are understanding the order that screen readers read our content in, mastering color content, color contrast and alt text, and creative descriptive links and accessible tables. By doing these three things, we're going to help you make your slides accessible to make sure that everyone can get the content that we want out of them. One of the first things I'm going to do is go up to my extension and launch Grackle Slides. Grackle is a product that ESU3 has purchased for everybody. You can get to it by going to the add-ons and getting Grackle Slides. So once you have that installed, you'll see how that comes into play later. So the first thing we're going to talk about is tab order. Tab order is how our screen readers are going to look at our slides and read what is on them on the screen, because the screen readers need to know what to say first, second, and third, and so on. And it does that by looking at the order that the content is placed on the slide. So our screen readers read from back to front. So that means whatever we have in the back of our slide order, that's what gets read first. And you can test this by clicking off of your slides and then hitting tab. Now, what I would like to have is the tab test and reading order be highlighted first. But as you can see, when I click here and hit tab, it actually grabs this box down here. So I can order my text by clicking up here and then going up to arrange and order. And you can send it back just one layer, or I know that this is the first thing I want read, so I can send this all the way to the back. So now this is at the very back, and I can test that again by clicking off of my slide and then hitting tab, and you'll see that that is first, and here is second, and here is third. And if I wanted to change that order at all, I could go up to arrange and order and move these things around. You can also right click on whatever it is you want to move, and there is an order button right here that lets you do that. And you can also see the shortcuts that it has there. So back to front is how the screen reader reads things. So if I want this tab test and reorder to go first, that's how it is. If I want this to go second, that's how it is, and here to go third. So everything is the order that I want it to read in, which is great. The next thing to know is every slide needs a unique title, and you'll see that I've titled this one 1 out of 2. So our screen readers need to know what the title of our slides are, and every slide has a unique title. You can see in the layouts that you can choose for your slides that there's a title space in all of these. And the way that you see where those are is by going to Edit Theme. Edit Themes brings you to the theme editor where you can see those layouts are here, and you'll see that there is a title in all of these, even when in ones that it doesn't look like there's a title, like it doesn't look like there's a title here. But if I click up here, I can put, you can see that here is where it says click to edit theme title in my slide. So there's always a title in these themes, and we need to make sure that we're using that title. And there is a way to kind of get around this a little bit. You may have a slide where you don't think that the content necessarily needs a title, or it's a continuation. One of the things you can do is grab your title and slide it off of your slide, and then you can see it doesn't look like my slide has a title. In fact, when I go to present, you can see there is no title. But when I hit tab, it is going to highlight my title, even if it's up here. So Make sure that every slide has a title and it is unique. Again, I'm going to have you notice that I have every slide needs a unique title, 1 out of 2. And then my next slide is called every slide needs a unique title, 2 out of 2. So if you're continuing content, here's a little naming convention that can help you do that. The next thing I want to talk about is color contrast. So color contrast is important. We have a ratio of 4.5 to 1 here. So that means when I have things like this blue text box with my white text on it, the contrast in those things needs to be 4.5 to 1. And we can use Adobe Color to check that. There's a couple different ways to check what our color contrast is. You can see here that I've got this set up in the Adobe Color. I'm in the Create tool or Create section there, and then Accessibility tools are right here. You can see that it gives us hex colors. So right now, this orange background with white text is does not have the right contrast to pass everything. Down below, you'll see that it actually does pass for large text. It says it passes here. And for graphics, it passes. But for regular text, it says that it is not it does not have enough contrast there. So I can grab this slider and just kind of slide around until I get to my 4.5 to 1. You can see here, oh, I'm almost there. 4 point, I'm trying to do this just right. It's not, there we go. Here, we're close to 6 to 1 here. So it gives you hex colors. So I can copy this hex color, and then wherever I want to use that color, I can insert my hex color by clicking adding a custom color and then copying my custom color in there, and then it will show up in that toolbar. Another thing to think about when using color in slides not only goes with contrast, but also is us not using color to convey information. So you would not want to say all the important information has a red asterisk next to it. That is a way that, or make sure you fill out the things in the blue box. Again, using color when we have people that may not be able to access the slides and see what color you're talking about is a problem. So you may just need to be more descriptive in how you want people to do things. So don't convey information using just colors. Okay, a real important one is alt text in our visual. So lots of people use pictures and graphics in their slides, and alt text is the way that we can have our screen readers read the information and know what the pictures are, because our screen readers only read, like when you bring a picture in, it's going to read the file name, and that may not give us exactly what we're looking for. So I've got the ESU3 logo here, and there's a couple different ways to do this. One way is to right click on whatever object you want, and then you can see there's alt text here. And when I click on alt text, I get my little format options, and down at the bottom, I get what I want the screen reader to read. So I want people to know that what they're looking at, this picture, is the logo for ESU3. Now, be conservative with the words that you use here. I don't need to go into a great description. I'm not trying to describe the logo. I'm just saying that this is the logo for ESU3 because that's all the information that I need the screen reader to convey to my audience. If you've got a picture that you need to kind of describe a little bit more, you can use a little bit more, but really when we're using alt text, less is more. So boil it down to what exactly do the participants need to know to get the information that's on my slide. So for me, I'm going to say that my people paying attention to this. They just need to know that on this slide is a logo for ESU3. So that's what I'm going to put here. That's all that I need to do for these things. There are ways that we can mark things just as decorative. So if I don't need people to know that this is here, maybe this is a box, a colorful box that some text is going over. A screen reader is going to read it as like image box, but I can mark images as just decorative. So I'm on slide 7. So I'm going to go down in Grackle to slide number 7 right here. And I'm going to hit tag. And one of the things that Grackle lets us do is, just a second here, I can mark it as an artifact. So when I mark things as an artifact, the screen reader completely skips over it. So you want to be sure that what you're marking is just maybe a background graphic or something that, brings a little engagement to your slides. But if you mark it as an artifact, it is going to get skipped over by the screen reader. And so that's an important thing to know, that when you mark things as artifacts, you're basically removing it from the slideshow for screen readers. And so really think, is this something that the people that are participating in this training need to know about? If it is, then use alternative text. That's great. But if it's not, then mark it as an artifact and the screen reader will skip over it. All right, I'm going to update that here and we're going to continue on. All right, so navigation and links. This is something that I've had to get better at myself. So I would often say something like what's on this slide. To see the guidelines, click here. I think that I did this mostly because I was going with a kind of assumption that the people who were accessing my slides could look at what I was saying and click where I was pointing them to. So I would have this in lots of places, multiple times on a slide. And now as I think back about how a screen reader handles that, it makes me really want to change that practice. So now when I have a link, I put my link in and I make the link as descriptive as I can. So here's a good example. Review the WCAG 2.1 Quick Reference Guide. So we're calling the link whatever it is linking to, that's what we're calling it. It makes it so that the screen reader reads it as a link and is very descriptive as to what that link is going to take you to. And then, it's kind of internet shorthand that links are different colored and underlined. And that's great actually for contrast. So having that be a different color and underlined is wonderful, but use that Adobe color to make sure that the colors you're using have enough contrast that that they're good to go together. All right, tables. I'm going to scroll over here on Grackles and look for my tables, because tables can be a real problem. All right, so you see they have their own kind of whole section in Grackle. So here's why tables can be a problem. Screen readers, unless they're told otherwise, don't really know how to handle a table, especially if it's a table with lots of information. So we can tell our screen readers a couple different things. First, we can give rows or columns, or rows and columns, headers. And the way the screen reader reads that is it reads the headers. So here it would say platform, alt text, navigation control. But then the important thing is that it connects the headers to the information. So here it would say platform, Google Slides, alt text. Yes, that really helps the screen reader convey the information in a way that makes sense. Otherwise, it is just going to read from left to right, top to bottom. Platform, alt text, navigation control, Google Slides, yes, yes. It can be hard when you get to like row 6 or 7 to remember what those yeses are in connection to. So I'm gonna pull up my tags here, because this allows me to say, as soon as this pulls up, that the headers, so you can see the headers are here on that first row, and I can even mark columns if that makes sense for this table. So now it connects the header with the information below it. And importantly, if you're someone like me that uses tables not only to help convey, tables of information, but sometimes I use them just to lay out and help organize my thoughts or what I'm presenting. If you mark the table as layout only, now the screen reader is not going to read it like a table. It is going to read it just as if it were laid out as a way to guide what is being laid out here. So you've got a couple options here. Do you need your table to be something that that people are getting the information because it is a table? If so, then what are the headers? Are they the columns or are they the rows? If your table is just for layout purposes, you're just organizing information, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in a table for it to make sense, then you can mark the table that way, which is very nice. All right, so our accessibility checklist, Grackle, WebAIM contrast checker, or the Adobe Color. And then there's an ADA handout checklist that will help you make it so that your slides are accessible for the content that we have. Thank you.